Hello and welcome to taik18. So now we are going to discuss about the category percentage. If you say this one, which is a parent percentage and GT percentage, and this actually works here. I have on the slicer, which is basically the sales territory group and then category and then subcategory. So North America is sales territory group, accessories is category, and tires and tubes are subcategory. So here is showing up the value which is within this category. If you're looking into this parent percentage, the tires and tubes are 35, which is out of all the accessories amount, which is 35 percentage. And accessories are basically which we have selected here, accessories and clothing are two category which is available inside to the North America. 65% is basically accessories and 34% is clothing. But in overall picture, which is North America, Europe, Pacific, North America consists of 52%. So that's how the picture is. And if I expand it again, this category, now on the GT percentage, the 52 is basically the same thing, which is for North America. But accessories, the total amount is 35% is with respect to the total grand total, basically. So, and only with for the North America, it is 65%, and for the grand total, it is 34%. Whereas the tires and tube, only for the accessories in North America, it is 35%, whereas for the grand total, which is total sales, it is 12%. That is how it is. If you need this kind of requirement, I made a separate videos on that, how we can do this in a regular DAX function, which is actually that's possible. But with the help of visual calculation, this is really simple now. So we need to use only 2 or 3 visual calculation functions. So it will work here. So now let's go look into that. So first of all, you need to select this visual, and on the right side, you have these calculation options, which you need to click on this arrow and then edit calculations. First, we'll look into this parent total and then we'll go for parent subtotal. So here I have used the parent total, which is another function which called as collapse, and then internet sales and rows here. To click on this function, I don't have it here, but still we can make use of that. Yeah, as per the documentation, you can see we have this collapse is one function. Calculation is evaluated at higher level of the axis, percent of the value. We can use that. So if you look into this one, collapse, and if I open up this open bracket, here we have expression, axis, and n. So what does it actually mean? So here expression and axis is the main thing which you need to use here, whether you want to go this by column or by row here. Same thing which we had discussed for the rolling average for the, it's actually the same thing which we discussed for running sum. So the axis, everything works the same way. So here the collapse I'm taking up here as an internet sale, which is a measure, and this measure. And then I want to do this in a row sections. So the collapse actually works this way, which you can see it here. First of all, they have a subcategory that's the lowest level, and it will add up all the value of that category, which is accessories here, and give the value here. On the top, if you see this one, so okay, or else let me zoom this here. Here I have the subcategory 22,440 and it is accessories. So inclusive of all this subcategory, which is showing up here 342, and you can see the value which is showing up here also 342, which is for the accessories. And similarly, it goes for the clothing as well. So it add up all the values of the clothing and show up this value 177 here. And also if you go for the further level up, which is for the North America, and this actually combines all the two values from accessories and clothing, which is 342 and 177, which is 519. And this is the value which is showing up here for the particular of the category level. For the subcategory, category is the parent, and for the category, territory, sales territory group is the parent for that. So that's the reason if you go here on the top, which I can see, and if I go up further here, now I have this sales territory group and categories. So that why the 519 it is showing up here. And for the Euro 274, which is showing up here on the category, it actually make the changes as per the visual look and feel now. So the state of the visual, it understands that and then it calculates those calculations. That's really amazing thing, how it actually works within the visual level, right? So the same way we need to adopt for the grand total as well. But before to that, I'd like to explore more here on the collapse itself. So here we have seen this rows, and then we have an option which is n. So if I go back to the documentation for collapse, And here n is optional, the number of level to collapse. If omitted, the default value is 1. So how well you want to collapse the value? So the default value is 1, which is going up one level here. So now if you have this value, which is showing up here as an example, parent collapse sales amount rows, that is what we have seen now. And then we have a grandparent value collapse sales amount and rows, comma 2 here. So if you want to take the value of the grandparent, here in our case, for example, the lowest level, we have it here as a subcategory. And here I'm comparing the value, which is 342 actually for the category here. Now, your requirement is you want to compare tiles and tube for the North America. Right now on the visual, we have two possibilities here at the moment, which is we are comparing tiles and tubes with accessories, and we are comparing tiles and tube with the grand total, right? Here, the what we have seen here, which is the grand total here. And but here our requirement is I would like to compare this with this one, which is 519 only for the North America. In that case, I need to use here 2. For example, if I want to go one level up here, so I need to use 2 and then close the bracket and click on commit now. So now we see the formula has changed here. Now I'm comparing this with parent is North America. So to avoid confusion, let me create one more thing here. So clicking here again on the parent total, and let me copy this here, which I'd like to add parent total to. Or else let me just redo this calculation again, which is parent total, and this can be without this one, which is subcategory is going to calculate based on category. Now, if I click again on the blank area, this will add up the calculation. I'm pasting this copied value and click on commit. So now I will see one more thing here. I can just drag and drop here beside to this one so that we can compare the value. So on the top, you can see we have internet sale, which is here for tires and tube 120953. And this is the one which is for the category 342. And now if you want to compare this with the North America, which is showing up here 519, that's pretty amazing. So the level of detail, how you want to make the calculation, it purely depends how you want to scale it here. So right now I have this 3 level of category. So I'm just using number 2, which is going up for the North America, which is sales territory group. If you have a further level up, you want to do it more calculations, then also you can do that, which you can just refer 0. 0 is basically referred to this one, the subcategory itself. Here category refers to 1 and North America refers to, which is sales territory group, refers to 2 here. If you have a one level up which you want to calculate like company level, like you want to add a company, then you can mention at 3 here. So you are going 1, 2, 3 level up here. So you can also compare that value. Now the percentage which is showing up here, parent is basically now with the subcategory to category. And we'll add another thing here, which I would like to see the calculations of the parent percentage at the moment, which is this one. So let me copy this. I will explain you this one after a few minutes. And I'd like to add one more thing, which is calculation %2, which is nothing but divide internet sales and the parent total 2. I'd like to use the parent total 2 here and then click on commit. Let's drag and drop to the top here. And on the top, you can see, even though it is not sorting up here at the bottom, but on the top, you can see the value is changed here. So for the parent, it is actually, let me drag here. All right. So let me drag here. Sorry about that. So here you can see this tires and tube, which is 129.53, and it is comparing with the accessories total 342015, and which is 35.36%. And the next one which we added here as a row 2, which we are taking up the value of the North America 519472, and the percent is 23%. So this is pretty amazing that if you have a 3 or 4 level of category and you want to compare with the lowest level with the 1, 2 or 3 level up, then you can just mention the row and then comma the n, which is number of category which you want to go up is basically you can define it here. By default, it will be 1. So if you want to go level up 1 or 2 or 3 level, you can also mention that manually here. So that's one thing. But as I mentioned earlier, so let's discuss on the percentage here. So how I did that. So if I edit this calculation, usually this is the regular function which we used to have, like divide internet sales, which is particularly this one here in this case 120953 divided by parent total, which is 342015. So I'm going to get the same result here, which is usual way. And if I clear this all and click on commit, it's going to give me a number which is 0.35, but I would like to take it as a kind of percentage, and that we need to multiply this into 100. So into 100, because right now the formatting is not enabled. That's the reason I'm using up here. But in future, the formatting will be available for the visual calculations. Then we will not need to do this kind of stuff here. So if I click on OK now, but still let's have a look here. Maybe updates is there are there or not. So now this is showing up here 35. And if I go to this format option for this visual and expand this cell element, and here I can see internet sales. Specific column, sorry, and then I need to select here the parent percentage, and here the display unit which is showing up here with this 100,000 and the decimal here. So right now it is not given an option so that I can make use of this convert into percentage here. So that is not available, but I can control the digits basically. For this, if I click here and set to be none and decimal place, I would like to give it to be 2 here. Okay, so now if I click again to this one, edit this. Now we are getting this value of 35 here, but I don't have the percentage symbol here in order to easily identify for the end user. So for that, we can just use and double quote, and also we can make use of the percentage symbol. So it has to be and then double quote, percentage, double quote. So it is concatenating these two values here. Right now, we don't have any issues with converting this value into numbers to text, combining this value, but it works here. But after changing this, you see it is now converting into multiple digits here, which doesn't look nice. Even in the formatting, we already set up these to be that, but it is actually not working. So in that case, we need to manually do the thing, which is I'm used here the round function. So you can add a round function here. And then the number is this one, and number of digit, I'd like to use this 2 here and round, and then commit here. By doing that, this will now showing up only 2. If you need 1 digit, then you can also mention 1 instead of 2 over there. So now we have covered about this parent and the level up here. So that is all about this function, which is collapse. And now we'll talk about this collapse again here. If you see, this is also given one more function which you want to mention here. Like if you want to compare this with the cells, which is you can also mention the column name here. Okay, let's try it out with that one. So click here, edit calculation. Instead of mentioning this as a row, and row is going to be default here instead of 2, what if I go and mention this here as the category, for example, now, and click on commit? It is not working here. So if I click here and edit calculations, and then if I use here sales territory group, and then click on commit. So the argument passed to the function is not valid. Okay, so if I click here and then edit calculations, and the last one which we have it here as a subcategory, and then click on commit. This is also not working here, even though it is mentioned up here like year of self and collapse and then month. So let me just remove the rows here in that case. So row and then use subcategory and click on commit. Yeah, this works fine here if it is comparing the self here, which is now giving the value of self. So clicking again and this parent and edit calculation. Okay, so I use this for the parent 2. So right now the parent 2, which is showing up here, 342, which is showing up here for subcategory. And what if I just change this to be category and then click on commit? Okay, so it is actually taking the value of further level up here, the total value. So it is not the self value. If you mention the name as well, but we need to avoid using the rows here in that case. So we just need to mention about this. So if I use comma here, so what are the options which we have? Expression, axis, and n. In the next level, which we have it here, expression and column 1, and other we can also mention here. So if I use comma and then go to the next one, column 1, column 2 also we can define here. So what if I define also the subcategory here and then click on commit? So there is no change here. It's also giving me the same value here. But if I change it back here to be like sales territory group and click on commit, Now it is showing up here the 944 value. So the highest one it is taking up here for this particular thing. And now everything is the same value which is showing up here. Okay. So this is taking up the value for the 942, which is showing to be the parent total here. Everywhere it's going to be the same value here. So if I change this now to, let me check here and just keep this value to be subcategory and click on commit. Right now, this is showing up here 542. And if we scroll down, it is taking up here for this value, which is clothing 177. That is totally fine. And now in accessory, which is 195, which is showing up here. So this is basically taking the total of this subcategory, which is the category total. And that's what it is showing up here. So we are in subcategory. Even though if you mention subcategory, it is also going with the same value, which is total of the subcategory, which is refers to 195 value. All right, so that's how it works. But it is easier if you mention just the status here, which is the rows, which will it is easier if you just mention to be rows and then just mention 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 will be the default, which is the category, and then 2 will be the higher one, which is here in this case, it is the sales territory group. Now let's have a look into the another one. Let me cancel this parent total 2 and parent total 2 percentage. Okay. So here we have another function which we used to use here, which is edit calculations. Instead of collapse, we have it here as collapse all. So if you use a collapse all, then whatever here on this visual, it takes the total grand value and then use it everywhere in each and every cell, each and every row here. And you see it is repeating the 994838 everywhere on this particular table. So let's have a look here. What are the things which we have it here? Only one, which is collapse all and expression and axis. So you want to go with this by row level and expression, which is showing up here like this. Now let's have a look if we try to use this in the column as well. We have a subcategory and I'd like to go the category on the columns and the sales territory on the rows here. So that's how it is working now, which is the subcategory here and North America. And on the top, you can see the value also got changed here. To avoid confusion, so let me go back and copy this visual. And then I will remove the percentages here, just keeping this parent and grand total. All right, so now let's go and edit something. So we have internet sales and we have a parent sale, which is going up here on the row level. So what if I change this to column? The parent total. So right now this is showing up here 120 and now 120, 120. And here I don't have anything here 120, which is showing up here at parent total. So right now I think this is not the right way because value will not be available here and there. Instead of using this here as a category, let's add a different one, which is dim customer gender may be the good one. So let's take an example of the customer. And instead of category, I'd like to use the gender here. Yeah, so now we see some values here. So for the female and male, basically, we have a tiles and tube, which they are about 58. And here it is showing up here 120, which is basically adding up these two values. Let's open up the calculator. 58562 plus 62391, which is this one and this one, adding up this value, which is showing up here 12953. So that's pretty amazing. And even if we look for the helmet here, which is showing up 5281 plus 49721, which is showing up here 100001. That's good. So now the calculation of this column is also working perfectly fine. So if let's go back here to the calculation for this one. So here right now the column which is showing up here for the grand total, let's edit the grand total. And here also I'd like to use the column. So this is actually comparing this value with the tiles and tube in the North America for the entire thing, which is showing up here for the female and male. The total value is 120,01953. As we have only two here, so that's why it is not easily identifiable. But if you have a more categories, then it will be make sense. Right now, the parent and the grand total is same. So what are the other possibilities which we have it here? Let's see. Okay, now both of them are showing up the same value. The reason is because we don't have a further level up on the category. Right now, both of them are showing up the same value, which is parent total and grand total. The reason is because we don't have a multiple levels at the column level. So that's the reason. We have just only one column, so that's why both of them are showing up the same value. But if I add a year here, for example, then category also the year. And right now, just also enable this also to show the accessories of accessories, clothing, bikes as well. So that's the reason it's showing up here, road bikes, mountain bikes here. So if I add a calendar year also within this gender or above the gender. Okay, so we have this internet sales, and if I drill down on the columns for this matrix, now you'll see a different value, right? So here for the road bikes, it is showing up a 1320 and 1328, which is 2648 one. And if I go to this right side, we have a multiple things, which is for the year by year. It's adding up everything year by year, and final column value is 520. So it is also working perfectly with the columns and rows. We have also tested out here. And if I go for the grand total, which is now showing up also for the columns, that's pretty cool. So this is how you can make use of this collapse all and collapse function so that it can work on the row level, also on the column level based on our requirement. Now just final check, which I want to do it here, which is at the grand total. Right now, this is showing up everything for this column, and how if we go by columns and rows. This will be interesting. The value which is showing up here is to taking the total entire value. Okay, so that's how it works now. So the 29, 26, which is basically the entire volume data which we have on our model. But if you change the same thing to this one, the collapse function, what it will happen? It is changing a different value. So it is adding up this value, which is 1320 and 1328. I think it is adding up everything which is showing up here. 13, 13, 17, 17. So to avoid a little bit confusion on the visual, so let's remove the calendar here. Just keep the male and female here. So right now this is showing up here 1333, which is actually addition of all these bikes here and all these subcategories here. So let's also remove this subcategory and just keep the category also to shortcut the value in order to understand clearly. That's the only reason. So now we have a bikes, accessories, clothing in North America. So the value which is showing up here 133 from where it has brought up here. So let's add up a calculator. So 5475199 plus 5327551, which is I'm adding up here 169240 plus 172775. Sorry, 5475199 plus 5327551. And plus I need to add this one 169240 plus 172775, which is this one, plus 86672 plus 9785, which is showing up here 113222221. That's pretty good. So it is showing up entirely for this particular North America, and it is giving us the value to compare that. That's cool. And what if I change this value to rows in that case? It's pretty amazing, right? How these things work. So right now this is perfectly working fine. So if you want to take the calculation of male and female as well as the North America entire thing, which is bikes, accessories, and clothing, and you want to compare that with this percentage, then also you can do that with the help of these columns and rows. And if you want to go in a reverse way, it's also going to be the same value. Like if you use this here instead of rows and columns, if we go with the columns and rows and columns, right, it's also going to give you the same result because it's also giving the same value here. But this is pretty amazing. So the limit is actually based on our requirement, how we want to do that. I'm really amazed with this functionality about that, how we can analyze these things here. Yeah, it's pretty good. So you can see it on my face reaction as well, but the way how it actually works is pretty amazing. So this is all about where you can use the collapse all and collapse function with the help of these visual calculations. And please try it out and let me know about the functionality, how it actually works for you. And we'll look into other functionalities in the future videos. If you like this video, just hit the big thumbs up button. If you're new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. If you have any comments, please let me know in the comment section below. And thanks for watching. Keep learning. See you in the next video.